Hey everybody, this is LSV for Life coming to you from the Backstage Pass. I got my boys Twitch and Box down here. We're getting ready to break down Week 11. We're going to start off with what made you twitch. So, Box, what's on your mind?
There was a lot of things that if you watched some games yesterday, there was a lot of things that could have made you twitch. But what made me twitch the most across the board was the Minnesota Vikings having 12 false starts. I get it, J.J. McCarthy has not been the starting quarterback. You know, you had Carson Wentz in there for a while, and McCarthy is just his second game back. But they were at home. Got to put that out there first of all. So, you know, he's a little bit quieter on offense. But also, you have a whole week to play with the quarterback. And in the NFL, like I get every millisecond matter, especially going against those high-caliber edge rushers. But be half a second late, then jump off sides and cost your team 5 yards. Especially at home with a rookie quarterback. Like, you can't get behind the sticks and expect your rookie quarterback to pick it up. But 12 false starts really ended up costing them the game. I mean, they were up on the Ravens at half, and then they let the Ravens come back, and Ravens ended up winning big time. But, I mean, 12 penalties, I don't know how many penalties they had in total, but 12 false starts on the offensive line / false starts on wide receivers, tight ends is ridiculous, especially in the NFL. I mean, our JV team had less than that this year, and we played 3 different quarterbacks at a real, I mean, like, come on, guys. You're an NFL caliber offensive line. You should be half a second late. You should be able to at least protect long enough to get the RPO game to your guys. And you can't expect a rookie quarterback to be able to make up 5 yards every possession almost.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns for a couple of different reasons. Number one, so they're playing the one-win Jets, and I get it, like, it's 2 not very great football teams, but even so, in a 27-20 game with about 58 seconds left, Jets had 4th and 4 about midfield, and first call on cadence, Cleveland jumps off sides. Like, it doesn't mean necessarily. I think they're going to go down the length of the field with Dylan Gabriel. Excuse me, but still, just like this middle school type football, middle school type mistakes, and for somebody that's obviously not a Browns fan, but was a Stefanski believer, I think the patience is running thin, and rightfully so in Cleveland. And I look at it because I'm not a huge Shadir translating to the NFL type guy, so you can't help but Deion's son, the energy he brings, that excitement. And like, I know it's preseason, it's a lot different than the regular season, but where Cleveland's at with 2 wins on the year, and Dylan Gabriel, it just feels like Stefanski's just being stubborn. Like, no, he's not the guy I wanted. He's just making a point at this point. Like, at this point, if you got 2 wins and your offense is struggling, why not try to go for a jolt? And so, to me, it's just somebody that's like stuck and stubborn in their ways, and also another boneheaded penalty to end the game for the Browns. So, we always say, Cleveland doing Cleveland things.
Very much so.
Well, I'm going to jump in there and just say, I guess, one of the things that got me this weekend, watching the games and talking to Box and Twitch, it was, Box has been talking about Sean Payton and the play calling all year long, and then he's sending me texts in real time about screen pass. Here we go. And, a game that I was excited to watch on Thursday night, it turned into, you know what? If you can only put up 10 points against the Raiders, you're in trouble when the Chiefs come to town next weekend off their bye. Chiefs are going to put up some points. And I'm assuming that the Broncos are going to show up and play better football, but it's what's going on with that play calling, what's going on with your offense. Last week I submitted that I think that the Broncos are probably going to end up winning that division and the Chiefs are going to be in there. But here was an opportunity to really solidify what your offense looks like with Bo Nix. Defensively, they still played great football, but they played great football against the Raiders. So we'll see what happens there this week. I'm excited for that game. I think you guys might come out here for that one. It's a 3:25 game. We'll talk about that later on. But, yeah, that play calling just is horrible. So, Sean Payton, I don't know if you're listening, but listen to Big Willie. We're the Box. And give up that play calling and focus on what you need to do to help your team secure their projected rest of the year.
Well, it's obvious you can't give Kansas City an extra 6 to 8 possessions and expect to win 10-7. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. I don't care how good Denver's defense is. So.
No offense to Geno Smith, but he's not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
We're gonna roll into our offensive players here and defensive players of the week. rolling right into Offensive Player of the Week. Put up 52.6 points in our fantasy league. We have some extra incentives for long runs and long touchdowns in there. But Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns at 7.6 yards a carry. 3 for 3 receiving for 100 yards, longest being a 42-yarder. So Jonathan Taylor had himself a day there overseas, playing against the Falcons, winning it in overtime.
Had 344 total yards receiving and rushing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
344 total yards. That's
This is
insane.
He had himself a day.
Yeah, he says it's the second highest in NFL history. And that guy, by the way, is on my fantasy football team. So
That's his 4th game with 3 touchdowns this year, if you've been keeping track. Jonathan Taylor is putting on a case that he should win the MVP. I know it's a quarterback award, and we thought Barkley should win it last year, but Jonathan Taylor's up to this point, knock on wood, they're on the bye week. But coming back, they play the Chiefs, whose run defense has been hit or miss. The Texans' run defense has been hit or miss. The Jaguars, the Seahawks, the Niners, the Jags again, and the Texans. Jonathan Taylor has a chance to maybe tie, if not break, the all-time touchdown record in the season, rushing yards or rushing wise. He is the team. Daniel Jones had himself a rough day across the board, but Jonathan Taylor's making himself a case that he's RB1, obviously, up to this point, and he's making a case that he should win MVP.
Yeah.
If not solidify Offensive Player of the Year for sure.
Yeah.
And get all the first place votes.
Yeah. Well, and you said up until last week, we considered there's still some teams like by the eye test, but had the best record in the NFL, and like I said, he's the main factor for that.
Yeah.
Didn't have quite as good a day as your guys, but my offensive player of the week is actually going to be Jamar Gibbs from the Lions. Had 15 carries for $142 and 2 touchdowns, and then added another 30 yards, so had about $175 and 3 touchdowns himself on the Lions win yesterday over the Commanders. So I went with Jamar Gibbs. There's a couple other noteworthy guys we mentioned. Matt Stafford had thrown 280 and looking really good against still, I know they have their 2 best players out, but still a pretty decent San Francisco defense in a divisional game. Had 4 touchdowns again. Box already kind of touched on it before the show, but it's just like we talk about him every week. It's just consistent every week. He's always, he didn't have this, he didn't have the flash that Lamar, Mahomes, but just pure pocket passers and what he means to the Rams team. He wasn't healthy last year, and look where they were last year. They made a run late. They made the playoffs, but
Look where they're at now.
right.
With that young defense that's improving every year.
Yeah.
Speaking of defense, I'm going to run into our Defensive Player of the Week. My Defensive Player of the Week is DeMarcus Lawrence, kind of a throwback player there, still in the league, believe it or not, playing up there in Seattle. He had 4 total tackles, 1 solo, half a sack, 1 tackle for loss, but it really came in with 2 fumble recoveries, so he wasn't causing the fumbles necessarily, but he was getting there to the ball. He was around the ball. So shout out to Marcus Lawrence, that guy who's feels like he's been in the league my whole life that I've been watching football. It's not been that long, but I always think of him as a cowboy, but he's up there in Seattle making plays on that 7-2 Seahawks team.
Yeah. One is, and the other honorable mention is and both of those touchdowns in the first half that he had were almost identical to where Knight had got the strip sack, and then Lawrence is the one that picked it up.
Yeah.
I said, but 2 hybrid guys, to me, kind of reminds me I don't know if you remember a Bruce Irvin that used to play for Seattle, but kind of that hybrid defensive end linebacker, just tall, lanky, athletic. That is a fast, ferocious defense. I can't wait to talk about Seattle more.
Yeah.
I'm going with Daniel Hunter of the Texans, and I've been saying a lot this year about the Texans and the Seahawks defense. And although Texans had a come from behind exciting win yesterday, much needed win to bring another record after starting off 0-3 to 4-5. Even at yesterday, they were sitting there. It was 29-10, about 12 minutes ago in the fourth quarter, and at that point the Jaguars still had less than 200 yards on total offense. So the Texans defense has still played pretty good, big aggressive all year. And Daniel Hunter's a guy that for I don't know if it's the last 3 or 4 years, but has had at least 10 sacks. Has 4 or 5 going into yesterday, but had a 3 or 4 game drought after starting off the year pretty solid, and had 4 sacks yesterday. Was instrumental in that comeback and holding the Texans had a 26-0 fourth quarter run on the Jags, and a lot of those were big plays and other pressures by Daniel Hunter. So big players step up in big moments to make big plays, and I thought that was, besides Lawrence having the 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns on defense is crazy.
Right. But, I want to make sure I throw Daniel Hunter in there, the Texans keeping their season alive.
very much so. A couple injuries to discuss this week. Jackson Dart goes down with a concussion, so more than likely out next week. Dalton Kincaid leaves the game with a hamstring. Devontae Adams with an oblique injury. He'll probably play next week. You know, you're old. Shit happens. Garrett Wilson out with a knee MRI today. Did not see the report on it coming back, but I'm guessing Wilson will be out for a while, especially with the situation the Jets are in. They want to keep one of their key guys healthy. But I mean, Dart's probably the biggest name on here, very much so. I mean, we'll talk about what happened with the Giants today in just a second, but Dart being out, Russell Wilson went back in, and obviously everybody hates Russell Wilson in New York. We saw what happened when Dart had a suspected concussion against the Eagles, was it? Or earlier on, it was in prime time, and Cam Scabadoo ran in the tent to see if he was okay. Brian Daboll went into the tent to see if he's okay. So obviously Dart's a moxie guy on that team. So Dart being out will definitely, I mean, we weren't talking about the Giants making a playoff push anyways, but that's definitely going to somehow hurt them more with Russ Wilson playing.
Hurts my eyes, I'll tell you that.
Very much so. But speaking of the Giants, Brian Daboll gets fired today from the New York Giants. And Twitch, what's your take on this? 'Cause I have a very passionate take on this.
Well, I mean, there's too many games the last 2 years of Giants losing close games and just questionable playing. Like you have some of your best key playmakers on the sidelines in key moments. I don't get that. One thing I do want to mention, because I know where you're going to go with it, so I'll let you go on there because I agree with you. But cut some interesting names I heard floated today. It's early speculation. Who knows? It'll probably be somebody up and coming.
Yeah.
But a couple names I've seen tossed out there was actually one was Mike Tomlin, like at the end of the year. And then another one was John Gruden sitting out there. So I was like, I would love to see Gruden, especially there being a quarterback guru and
going in there with
the moxie of Dart. I said that'd be fun to watch. I said, but no, I said it's too bad because I said I know the Giants are riddled with injuries, but you know it's too many times the last 2 years where the Giants have. I mean, how many games have they lost in the final 2 minutes this year? 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, and like you said, having key playmakers on the sidelines in big moments, I don't get it.
Yeah, my take on this end is I understand why they did it. I mean, you have obviously there's some stuff that's been building up to this. I mean, you think about the Daniel Jones debacle and letting Saquon, and it's not necessarily his call, but letting Saquon out the building. And, I mean, countless things you can talk about with the Giants. But also, you have to think that this game that they lost, he had his starting quarterbacks out, his starting running backs out, his wide receiver one, who's a top 10 wide receiver in the league when he's healthy, is out. The offensive line's banged up. The defense is banged up a little bit across the board. So I think Daboll
and just not very good either.
Yeah, they're just not. I don't think he was the greatest coach in the world. I mean, I think he's good at what he does, but it's another kind of like a Sean Payton situation where this guy is a better play caller than he is head coach. There's obviously a lot of guys who can't make that transition from play calling to head coach, or they do one thing or the other really well. But this turns the Giants' job into, as of right, suspecting like maybe the Browns move on from Stefanski. The Titans are open currently, but it'll be interesting. The Jets are open. I think the Giants become the premier team right now in the free agency battle of who's going to hire a coach, because you have these studs returning on offense, and that defense is a good defense.
Right.
They're off. It's kind of like the Cowboys, but they're not in big of a limelight because they're not. We're in the Midwest. We hear more about the Cowboys, but I'm very interested to see what direction they go. Also, fun little fact: the GM of the Giants did not want Jackson Dart or Malik Neighbors. He wanted neither one of them. So it'd be interesting to see if I don't think Malik Neighbors I don't think these guys get traded, because obviously Malik's a sophomore and Dart's a rookie, Scabadoo's a rookie. But it's crazy to think that the guy that they didn't want, who when they were all on the field together, we were talking about him sneaking in a playoff spot earlier this year until injuries happened and MetLife
At least they were fun to watch.
Yeah, it was enjoyable to watch. I mean, Dart put himself on the map, so I'm interested to see who ends up getting that job. I think you're right. It's going to be like a young offensive coordinator for a mediocre team we haven't heard of before.
Yeah.
But I think a John Gruden would be awesome in that situation, because Dart has the moxie, Scabadoo's, whatever you want to call him,
right.
CTE machine. Malik Neighbors is a weapon. And you got to think they're only going to get better because they're. I mean, when you have wide receiver one, your running back, and your quarterback all on rookie contracts, you have more money to go throw at a premier offensive line or a premier wide receiver two, or plenty of other options, or go get a tight end in the draft. But I think Daboll. I thought Daboll deserved more of a chance, especially this year with how banged up he's been, and obviously the Saquon thing wasn't necessarily his fault. Like.
Right.
GMs make those kind of player personnel decisions, and
Right.
it depends how much power he has, and I don't think we'll ever find out how much power he actually had in those decisions, especially the Saquon one.
Yeah.
But
I think you're right, though, as far as, like, New York being the premier spot of free agency, as far as, like, situations, superstar-type level players coming back, some cap room, playing in a big market for a storied franchise. The Giants are one of the oldest franchises in the NFL. They've got 4 Super Bowls. It's been a while. But you look back at Parcells in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s with Kerry Collins and made a Super Bowl appearance. Like, they've more often than not been pretty good. And like I said, we've talked about it when the Giants were playing well with Dart. Like, it just seems like it's a more enjoyable NFL when the Giants are relevant.
yeah,
To me, I don't mean it's because that was always one of the NFC teams I liked. Maybe it's just me. And so it's like it's almost like if the Packers or somebody like that was not relevant. Like it's just more exciting when New York is relevant.
Yeah.
It's a big market, so
and you got to think both New York jobs are open this year, so it'll be interesting to see who ends up where.
Yeah.
Because if you think we didn't really talk about with the Jets, we kind of grazed over it, but the Jets the Jets are your premier team too. I mean, their quarterback situation is obviously not the same, but they still have Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
That's about it. They traded all the other good guys away.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens there in New York. But rolling into I have a couple questions, around the table, get some opinions here. The first one is Brock Purdy is set to return this week, playing against the Cardinals, coming back after a loss on the 325 slate from last week. My question is how long do you think Brock Purdy's leash is before Mac Jones comes out and makes an appearance? I don't know if I'm thinking, me personally, I think it's a game or two. But if Brock Purdy comes out and he's not looking like he was before, being consistent and the quarterback that puts the ball in the place where it needs to be, I can see Mac Jones coming back out, which I think will obviously. I mean, you pay a guy, you want him to play, but I think with how good Mac Jones has been playing this year, I mean, he has him at a winning record at 6-4. I mean, you lose a tough divisional game to a really good Rams team.
Yeah.
So I think Purdy needs to come out and play really good to secure his job. I know this gave him a pay raise, so it's going to be hard to move on from him, but he also, he got the short end of the stick here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not his fault he got hurt.
I think it's a little bit longer than a game or two, and honestly, when I think of these two quarterbacks, especially with Mac Jones playing above the level and actually having some pieces around him, it's almost like that Spider-Man meme. It's just like between Mac Jones and
everybody's pointing the finger guns at each other.
I mean, it's just like I feel like they're both good, like above average, but like system quarterbacks, and they're just like they both understand Shanahan's offense and what they're trying to do, and so I don't think you'll see a big uptick or drop off with Purdy. So I'm sure there'll be some, first game back type jitters or mistakes. But like I still think Purdy's just a hair better than Mac Jones. I don't know. But like you said, I'm giving him at least a 2-game cushion to kind of really see, especially with the opponents being like unless Purdy plays really terrible. There's no reason not to. These are perfect warm-up games to ease you back into it. So I know it's the NFL, and we see this every week, so I say that. And again, it's another divisional game this week, but compared to what the Seahawks just did to the Cardinals, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, Cardinals are the little brother of the NFC West. It's okay.
Right.
I mean, every other team is fighting for a playoff spot right now.
Right.
The next question I have for you is, are the Bills frauds? I mean, I get it. It's a tough divisional game. You're going down playing in Miami. You're coming off a huge win against the Chiefs at home. But, I mean, this is the third time this year that they went into a team, and we think, the Bills are just going to roll over them, and then the Bills get absolutely shellacked. I mean, it happened with the Falcons, obviously, Monday Night Football, and then it happens again with the Patriots.
Less than a month later.
Yeah, less than a month later, and then the Miami Dolphins again this last week, which I get 2 of those are divisional games, and I mean, you're going to drop divisional games, and the Patriots are way better than we expected.
Right.
So, but I don't know, I didn't get to watch the game. It wasn't on our market, and I watched the highlights, but you don't really get much actual game calling, so I don't know necessarily what's going on with the Bills. I don't know if it's Josh Allen's not having enough I don't even know. Like having a wide receiver one's finally catching up, not having a wide receiver one's catching up to him because then he's thinking, I can get to this guy or this guy or this guy, but they're all covered. I mean, Miami sucks, obviously. McDaniel's going to get fired at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what happens with the Bills down the stretch here, especially if we're dropping 3 games that they should not have dropped. And then beating the Chiefs the way they did last week across the board is very it's very hit or miss.
That's why I feel like I hate to play devil's advocate, but like I think it's a little bit of truth in both. I don't think that they're necessarily frauds because at their best, we saw what they could be at their best when the Ravens were still playing at the first game of the year and against the Chiefs. So I feel like they're hyped at their best, and Josh Allen at his best. I think they can compete with anybody, but also frauds as far as are they really? Especially over the last month, and it's a week-to-week league. But do you really see Buffalo going in like playing the way they have the last month and winning 3 or 4 consecutive in the playoffs? Like I said, the last month I would say no, they're not real Super Bowl contenders. Just in that regard, I mean, I said at their best they're as good as anybody. They can compete with anybody. But yesterday, I mean, you talk about like maybe honorable mentions, main things that made you twitch. Like you're playing a 2-win Dolphin team. Or 1 win. They had 1 win going into the
they had 1 win going into the game.
They had 1 win going into the game. And like I said, you have that game against the Chiefs, and then I watched very little of it, but I watched the second half. Really sloppy, turned the ball over, missed a kick, and then it's 16-0 coming out of the half. Buffalo only has 4 first downs at the half. They get 6 the first drive, and then they turn the ball over. Just really sloppy. Interception by Allen, like they intercepted in the end zone. And so it's just I really think that they were just kind of going through the motions yesterday, and that's not an excuse, but yeah,
very much so. Yeah.
They're not good. They're good, but they're not good enough to like where they take plays up. Like you kind of already touched on it as far as like Dalvin Cook and Josh Allen can only do so much. Like Shakir and Coleman like have their moments, but where they don't have a true number one.
Yeah, they don't have a consistent guy who's always there.
Right.
But that leads us into the question of the week. This week's question of the week. So besides the Colts and Patriots, who are number 1 and 2 in the AFC right now, what's the team you've been most surprised with this in 2025? There's obviously a couple of ones that come to mind instantly for me when I do that, and I have 2, one from the AFC and one from the NFC. But I guess they're both from the NFC. But I have the Seahawks. I know you were very on the Seahawks to start the year. I think you had them winning the division or at least making the playoffs. I don't remember necessarily, but I knew last year that in Kevin O'Connell's offense, Darnold looked really good, but I didn't think it was going to translate to Seattle. I didn't think he was going to step up the way he has. But, I mean, the Seahawks are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Sam Darnold's playing lights-out football. I mean, we've seen the completions percentage, and, I mean, it helps that he has a young wide receiver one who's a dude, and he has a veteran in Cooper Kupp he can get the ball to with a decent running game on the backside. But the Seahawks have been a surprising team for me this year. And then one that's been more surprising to me is the Bears. I figured it would take at least a year, at least a season, if not another season, to get rolling with the Bears, kind of like it took Dan Campbell with the Lions to get that consistency of, hey, we're a playoff team. Yeah. But, I mean, the Bears, obviously, we've seen moxie from Caleb Williams. We've seen him come back in games. Like just last week, we watched him come back against the Bengals, and they come back again this week against the Giants, it's the Giants, and it's the Bengals we're talking about. But last year, we don't see that from Caleb Williams. So I'm impressed with them. I mean, they're 6-3. They're in the playoff hunt right now. It'll be interesting to see how their season fills out. Caleb Williams is playing up to his first overall pick potential right now, or what they projected him to be.
And what, 5 out of the last 6?
Yeah, I mean, he's on a hot streak. Caleb Williams, 20 for 36 and 220. I mean, consistency throwing the ball with Ben Johnson's trick plays and everything else he runs. Yeah. So the Bears have been I don't know about a nice surprise, but, I mean, however you want to word it, but very impressed by the Bears up to this point, because I thought they were going to be another 500 team, maybe a little bit less, and not even be close to the playoffs. But right now, they're there.
Yeah, those are solid takes. Like you said, kind of excluding obviously the Colts and the Patriots winning 7 straight. We both thought Vrabel would have them about 500 or so, but to be 8-2. And speaking of Buffalo's, I think New England's going to probably win that division now.
Yeah, dropping that game, it definitely opens it up.
Yeah, which takes me to my AFC team. The other team, which I'm still going to go out on a limb. I'm still going to say, I'm sorry to you, but I still think the Chiefs somehow find a way. But the margin of error is slim to none, and Denver's really got a chokehold on that division. So, like, to me, you and I both had Denver making the playoffs, but no offense, I know that like they beat a good team in the Eagles and had a good comeback against the Giants, but it's not they've had like a world beater of a schedule and they didn't look great against the Raiders on Thursday. So they still took care of business. Their defense still looks good, but for the Broncos to be 8-2 and have a 2.5 game lead, and then have Kansas City coming into Denver next week, prime. I mean, that's all set up for Denver. I said plus the schedule compared to what Kansas City has left. So Denver's been a nice surprise. I think they're a team to stay, and I think, like I said, Bo Nix has been off and on. I mean, for the most part, solid. He's been solid for 3 quarters and then quiet, and then he had a couple of really, really good games, and then the last couple of weeks have been like, He's had moments of, but he's still getting the win. And so the Broncos are my AFC team. Like some other ones you kind of mentioned, like the Bears are a good story. There was another one I was going to say. But, the Rams. We thought the Rams would be good or fighting for a playoff spot, but just like you said, with Matthew Stafford every week putting up 4 touchdowns and 280, and this is not going to come for the people that do listen every week. Like, it's not going to be a shocker, but the Seahawks are the surprise. I had them, I think, as the 5 seed for both the first 2 times we picked playoff teams, so I thought they'd be a lot better for this exact reason. I'm not saying that I knew they'd be this good, but about the balance and the depth that they have. And again, I know we're going to talk about Seattle more and the recap of yesterday's game, but just they look to me like one of the most balanced teams, offense and defensively, like total teams. And for them to be sitting there at 8-2, I said I think they're legit. So I thought the Seahawks would be good, but I didn't have them being legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And like you said, piggybacking off you again, but it's just. The Sam Darnold effect is that if you're Minnesota, you had both of those guys on your roster last year, and Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, and to me those are the 2 most impressive because they're not the names like Mahomes and Allen, but they played as good as anybody.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there was a spot yesterday. I was going to save that for the Seattle Clippers. So there was a spot yesterday. I was watching the Seattle game. It was 35-0 with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, and at that point, Darnold had 5 touchdowns. And in the last game and a half, he'd had 4 incomplete passes total. That's just an insane statistic to me and shows you the level of efficiency that he's playing at. So I'd say for my 2 teams, I would say biggest surprises or most ones I've really enjoyed watching are the Seahawks and the Broncos.
Yeah, very much so. We're going to roll in some recaps here of the last week. We're going to start off with one of the surprise teams that we didn't talk about, but the Patriots at the Bucks. Patriots get the win, 28-23. Drake May goes 16-31 for 270 and 2 touchdowns with an interception. Trayvon Henderson, the rookie who hadn't been getting very many touches, goes 14 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. Longest run is 69. Nice. Mac Hollins, the barefoot guy, if you're wondering who that is, the guy who was barefoot all the time in the video, walk-in videos, 106 yards. Stephon Diggs gets a touchdown for 46 yards. That defense playing lights out. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield still had 3 touchdowns and 273 yards. Sean Tucker, backup running back, he'd be a third-string running back, but with Bucky Irvin still out, he's backup running back, leading the team with 53. And then Emeka Ibuka making a strong case again for Offensive Rookie of the Year with 115 yards and a touchdown, with Caden Auden with 82. But this game, we watched a little bit of this game. We were flipping back and forth between this one and the I don't remember what the other the Vikings-Ravens game. But, the Patriots have obviously winning this game against a NFC contender who's going to probably win the NFC South at this point unless the Panthers go on a hot streak and the Bucks drop a couple here or there. But, the Patriots have been by far one of the most impressive teams this year. Vrabel has the boys playing hard-nosed, you think Patriot football, and that's basically what they're playing again. Stephon Diggs has been a big surprise to me. He kind of been lackluster the last couple of years, and he went to Houston, and then in New England last year, but he's really stepped in that wide receiver 1 space, and he's kind of reverted back to old Stephon Diggs play. And then, obviously, having that run game helped a lot. Yeah, but I think the Buccaneers will be fine. They play in a weak division, so I think they still make the playoffs. And, you get that wide receiver core is still banged up. I mean, Godwin or Evans still haven't played, which Evans is probably not coming back till the very end of the year, if not playoffs. And guys like Tess Johnson and Cameron Johnson, which is kind of confusing, and then Sterling Shepard have all kind of stepped up. So, I mean, when Godwin comes back and healthy later on in the season, I think the Buccaneers will be a force to reckon with. But shout out the Patriots for, 8-2 and possibly beating the Bills out of the division, especially with the tiebreaker now, and they have to play one more time. But
Yeah.
and then they have to play at home one more time.
Right.
They beat them at
Buffalo.
beat them at Buffalo. So Patriots look good to be primed up for the Colts slip up to number 1, if not securing the 2 seed for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely some things. This was a great game yesterday. Like, this was our game of the week.
Yeah.
But with the Patriots winning 7 straight, and then when it was, I think it was 21-16, something like that, late in the game, and New England, I don't know if you got to see that when they broke the long 80-yard run.
Yeah.
But there was about 2.5 minutes left, so maybe 2 minutes left.
Yeah, Trevon looked to the sideline to see if he was supposed to
Just
go
make
down
sure
or
if he was
not.
supposed to score or not, because Tampa Bay, I think, had 1 timeout left still. I think you, and I'm sorry not just to copy your ideas, but I think you're spot on again in that it reminds me of I think we're getting out of that Patriots dynasty, and that's separate, and now they can really focus. They're under that, right
Yeah,
under
they're
that
new.
shadow.
It's a new.
And Mike Vrabel, part of that Patriots team that won it all in one. So before Brady was Tom Brady, it was a bunch of guys that were not superstars, but they were all solid players, and they all did their job, as boring as that sounds. And it's about a team that came together and went on a stupid run. And here we are, Mike Vrabel, a linebacker of that, a eventual Pro Bowler, but was cut from several teams before that, and then he was a big leader in that Patriots defense. So now you have a guy like Vrabel, who said we thought didn't get a fair shot in Tennessee, and is bringing that culture back to New England and winning that in those kind of ways. It may not always be pretty, but I feel like they do have their guy in May. May also had an interception late in the red zone, but then you saw Vrabel go right over to him and talk to him, was supportive of him, and so it's just this is a legitimate Patriots team. They're scrappy, they're tough, their defense doesn't give up a lot of the big plays, so they just keep everything in front of them. And the guy that I kept seeing yesterday was, the Mac Hollins had the 6 catches for $106, but constantly was in guys' faces and just had a little bit of fiery to him. It was prime, reminding me like a Mike Evans type, but it's just constantly showing up, scrapping and fighting for yards and stuff. So impressive win for New England. That's still, Tampa Bay. Like I said, I think that you're right. I think they'll be right, be fine. Baker with 3 touchdowns, and then. They said, I don't know if you. Side note, I don't know if you saw the. Did you see? Sorry, the Tez Johnson first touchdown celebration. We did a backflip and just stuck it.
Yeah.
So but like you said, getting pieces by committee while guys like Godwin and obviously Evans out for the year. So I said I think they'll be just fine. I said I think there's enough athleticism. Getting guys like Kate Ott, the tight end, involved for 9 catches for 82 yards, made numerous first downs, but the Patriots, like I said, before they scored that touchdown, and the Buccaneers answered with a late garbage time touchdown, but it was within a score.
Yeah.
New England had to stop Baker Mayfield with 4 minutes to go, which not a lot of people have been able to do this year, and New England's defense stepped up to the challenge on the road. So. That's a big win for them. I think New England or Tampa Bay will be just fine, he said, especially when they get everybody back. The story I took more from the Patriots side of things, just for the fact of the Baker's still playing really good, but I think the Patriots are legit. I think the Patriots are a legitimate team to not be taken lightly in the playoffs.
Especially if you have to go play them in Foxborough.
Right.
Foxborough's always been a hard place to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, even before Brady. So,
it's funny because Vrabel. I've always loved Mike Vrabel. When Tristan went out to Nashville to be there with the Titans, we were looking up stats and stuff like that. And one of the things that's crazy about Vrabel, as great as he was on defense, is that he actually has 10 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so
Patriots and Chiefs use him. He was at a niche for that.
So he's just an interesting guy. Very lovable. I'm glad to see he found a place with the Patriots. and he's doing awesome things there. And so, like you said, Twitch, moving away from that dynasty conversation about the Patriots with Belichick and stuff like that, and Brady.
And the identity of.
Yeah. So now you get to see this is like the next season of what the New England Patriots can become.
Shit.
And they're definitely, they're definitely an exciting team to watch again, which is crazy because for being 2 decades of dominance in the AFC, you think, well, how long will that take them to get back to a point of being relevant? And here they are.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Well, and I'm glad, you just made me think and realize something too. It's just like in a Bill Belichick way, nothing's ever flashy or sexy, but they don't beat themselves. That's the formula that Bill Belichick for years. Like they just don't. They
Just
don't
do your job. That's
Yeah.
his slogan: is do your
Yeah.
job, and they very much so just do their job.
Yeah.
Rolling into another game here, comeback game. I talked about the Bears a little bit earlier, but the Bears get the win over the 2-8 New York Giants, also coachless New York Giants.
Yeah.
24-20. Scored two touchdowns in the last, or scored a touchdown and a field goal. No, it was 2 touchdowns. My bad. Scored 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So beating the Giants. Jackson Dart, pre-concussion, 242, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Russell Wilson, 45 yards. Both got sacked 2 times. Tyrone Tracy for 72 yards on the ground. Jackson Dart had 2 rushing touchdowns, 6 carries for 66 yards. And then Darius Slayton stepping up as a wide receiver for 89 yards. Theo Johnson for 75 and Wandale Robinson for 62. Just a very Giants offensive day. Giants offensive stats there.
Yeah.
But on the other side, Caleb Williams, 220 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 80 yards on 13 carries. Caleb Williams also getting in the end zone there for 8 carries for 63 yards. And the backup, Kyle Minogue, I can't even say that. Backup number 25, getting another touchdown in there. Romo Dunze having a great second year there for 86 yards and a touchdown. Colton Loveland, 55 yards. And then rookie wide receiver out of Missouri, Luther Burn III for 51. So, I mean, that Bears offense has been hot like we talked about. Their defense has been playing good. Obviously, it's against the Giants, but scoring 2 times in 4 minutes is huge, especially to come back against a team you should beat.
Yeah.
They very much did. It's crazy to think that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson already got a coach fired, so...
Right.
It's only the first season. It'll be scary to see what ends up happening there, especially if they get better. And you got to think Dunze's only going to get better. Loveland's only going to get better. Like their top 3 leading receivers are a sophomore and 2 rookies. I mean,
Yeah.
and a sophomore quarterback. I mean, DeAndre Swift's a little bit older, but you got to think they'll find another good running back at some point.
Well,
so.
and isn't their offensive coordinator still Eric Bieniemy too?
Yeah, I mean they still have.
Like,
There's some freaking weapons up
yeah.
there.
To go with Johnson from that Lions offense, like the great offensive masterminds. I won't spend a lot of time talking on the Giants. I like the Giants, I said, but like I was more impressed by the Bears being down 20-10 and being flat, and then I kept flipping back and forth, and I watched that final drive. But like you said, Caleb Williams the last 2 weeks when the game was on the line, even like I said last week going back to Cincinnati, only having the ball with 40 seconds left or whatever, 50-some seconds left.
Yeah.
And he only needed 35 of them. But when turning into a completely different quarterback, you can tell with the game on the line with Caleb Williams, like the spotlight's not too big for him the last 2 weeks. It's just as they made that kind of, it didn't matter that they only scored 10 points and only had whatever it was, 12 first downs or whatever. The last 2 drives was a man on a mission and completely took him right down the field, including the go-ahead score. Like when he screwed down the sideline, made a heck of an athletic play. So, I said I'll be honest. I said I wasn't a big Caleb Williams believer. Like would translate to the NFL. Nothing against him personally, but just like the attitude coming from a 4-loss UCLA team. But no, he's looked every bit the part. And I said, like you said, it would be interesting to see what Chicago does in the offseason and to actually build around Caleb Williams. And Swift is just one of those guys where it just every week. Sorry.
Josie wants to go outside, so. But yeah, very much so. Rolling into a game here that every week I could choose the Falcons. It was what made me twitch. I've picked them before. I could have picked them again this week. Playing the Colts overseas in Berlin in a close game. Colts pull out the win with Jonathan Taylor with a crazy game. But 31-25 in overtime. Michael Penix Jr., 12 for 28 and 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Bijan Robinson gained 84 yards on the ground. Drake London stepping up as that wide receiver one that I expected him to be with 104 yards and a touchdown. And Kyle Pitts Sr., believe it or not, second receiving with 38 yards. It's kind of hard to figure out where the ball's going when Penix is throwing it.
Right.
Penix also, I think I said 12 for 28, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's a crazy stat line for an NFL starting quarterback. But over to the winners here, Daniel Jones, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Getting sacked 7 times, though. Kind of a crazy stat there, especially against Falcons defense. Jonathan Taylor, though, obviously the hero of this game for 32 carries, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. Already read all that. Daniel Jones is 53 yards on the ground. Tyler Warren, the rookie tight end, stepping up and having a 99-yard game. Alex Pierce catching Jones's 1 lone touchdown pass for 84 yards. Daniel Jones also fumbled 3 times. He lost 1 and recovered 1 again. But, I mean, it's overseas, so who knows how those games are going to go. I didn't watch this game because I don't have NFL package or whatever it's on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember I was doing stuff in the morning, but when I showed up out here at Lakeside, I just walked in and they just won, and Greg said, Jonathan Taylor had a 344-yard day. And I said, what? So Jonathan Taylor went out and had a absolutely wild day on the ball or through the air and on the ground. But I don't even Jonathan Taylor's going to win Offensive Player of the Year for sure.
Yeah.
Unless something absolutely wild happens with
Knock on wood.
yeah, knock on wood, stays healthy and all that. But if you're a Falcons fan, please reach out.
Right.
Please ask for help.
Right.
I can only imagine what you're going through. I mean, I felt a little bit of what the Steelers fans go through this week. But as a Falcons fan, I mean, this has been the hottest and the coldest team. I mean, you beat the Bills, you get 30-0'd by the Panthers.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, countless other games that
Had the Colts on the ropes.
you had the Colts on the ropes. I mean,
Yeah.
take the Colts to overtime overseas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're a Falcons fan. I mean, I know 28-3 is always going to live in your head. Like, you think Falcons, that's the first thing I think of. But, I mean, this season also might go down as one of the craziest hot or cold teams in the season because their 3 wins have been huge wins. I mean, I'm pulling up the scores here. But, I mean, obviously, they get the win. They beat the Dolphins, whatever. But they beat the Bills by 10. And then they beat the Commanders at the time, who, I mean, that was Daniels out. But then they get 30-0'd by the Panthers. They beat the Vikings. Well, I don't.
Yeah. You don't know what to make them week to week.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do the pick'ems with them because you don't know if you're going to get the hot team or the shitty team. But Colts get the win in overtime. That's the biggest stat. Jonathan Taylor having himself a year.
Yeah, it's a kind of a sloppy game. I felt like for both. I said the only thing I'll say about it was the obvious was Jonathan Taylor just kind of taking over. Daniel Jones having a good day, but not a great day. Took some licks. I stayed in there. Atlanta kudos to them for being competitive.
If you want to see a cool picture, go look up Daniel Jones during the game. Something happened to his gum or something, so he had bloody teeth. He was all smiling at the camera. So if you want to see a interesting looking picture, you go look at that.
But I feel like it shouldn't have ever been that close. Kudos to the Colts, getting to the bye week, getting a win after a tough loss and not playing very well. And it's a little bit concerning to give up that many sacks and turn the ball over 6 times against Pittsburgh and then have that kind of offensive performance where they had to have a late touchdown to tie and the touchdown in overtime to win. It should not have been that close. But again, you never know which Falcons team is at their best. They'll play with the Bills. But what do you make of the Bills? It's just that's the league we're in now. So
very much so.
What do you take from week to week? But that's what I'll say is like Daniel Jones being efficient. Kudos to the Falcons for not turning the ball over. But yeah, I said Colts get the win, and
rolling into our next game here, another comeback game. The Jacksonville Jaguars lose 29-36 to the Houston Texans. The Jaguars were up 17-0 early in the second, up 10 points at half. And then at one point, in the third quarter, right before the fourth started, they were up 29-10,
Yeah.
and then Houston comes back and scores. Obviously, to get up to 36. I don't even. Fucking Jags, man. This is the most. I mean, the Jags is fun. They find ways to lose games. It's not. I don't think it's the other team necessarily beating them. Trevor Lawrence, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. ETN, 58 yards and a tutty. Jacoby Myers just traded for, stepping up at that wide receiver 1 with their Brian Robinson Jr. being out with an injury this week for 41 yards, which obviously isn't huge. But across the board, Texans having a huge comeback against that Jaguars team, who I had in the playoffs last time we did, but when we did the playoffs in 2 weeks or next week, they will not be in my playoff prediction.
Right.
They've lost their way out of it, even though they're at 5-4 in a weaker, not a weaker division, but in a division you could get another team in. But
Yeah.
how tough the AFC wild card prediction is going to look, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the Jags have played themselves out of it for sure.
Right.
And the Texans, I mean, they're not going to catch the Colts, obviously, but the Texans have a chance to get on a hot streak here and maybe sneak in that last wild card spot
Yes.
if they can win out or maybe drop one more game, depending on how the Chargers finish up and how the Chiefs finish up, obviously. And I mean, shout out the Texans for getting the comeback win over the Jaguars.
Yeah. No, I mean that was obviously a must-win, especially for the Texans. I think that they're going to finish strong, and that was a team that we had obviously making the playoffs. Nobody knew what the Colts were going to be, but had winning the division actually.
Yeah.
But I think that the 0-3 start's going to be too much of a holdup for them to dig out of. But they've been competitive every single week. They lost some close games to some good teams, such as the Seahawks on prime time, and their defense has showed up every single week. So, like I mentioned earlier, even when it was 29-10, due to one turnover and a punt return and stuff like that, Jacksonville was up 29-10, but only had less than 200 yards total offense. And just the entire game, especially at the end, it was one of those games where you're watching and they need to get a stop and they get the stop. I mean, that's how those comebacks happen. They get a stop and then, okay, now we need this on offense. Well, then it's 3rd and 3 and Mills is scrambling with 2 guys in his face and floats it over for the tight end for a touchdown. I mean, every time they needed a big play, they made a big play down the end. And Houston, I know it sounds cliche, but I feel like Houston just wanted it more. They're the more physical team. And I said, kudos to the Texans and Daniel Hunter and those guys on the defensive side of the ball for shutting down Jacksonville, especially over the last second half and the fourth quarter specifically. Like I said, when the Texans went on a 26-0 run. And not to mention, when it was 30 to I'm sorry, what was the final score again? 36 to 29?
Yeah.
So it's 30 to 29, and Jacksonville is almost in field goal range because they have the kicker that can kick it 70 yards.
Yeah.
So they're almost at midfield, and to end the game, the Texans get a strip fumble. Big guy scores a touchdown. So putting the exclamation point on their work for. So I said I think there's too much of a hole for the Texans to dig out of. I said, but that defense, go look at the statistics. I highly encourage if anyone takes our advice, go look at it. They're top 5 across the board in a lot of categories. And DeMarco Ryan has had those guys playing even for 4 and 5. They've won 3 out of 4. I will say this is the second week out of 3 that I've had them being the upset pick, and they hit. So taking care of business. And I said now they have to go win some of those games on the road where they struggled this year. But the other kudos I want to give is to Mills for turning the ball over for a pick 6 early, and being a big reason why they were in that hole to begin with. And then to come back the way he did and have over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and getting the 2-point convert, Mills made a couple on the dime throw, like when they need him the most. Made a couple really crucial big throws. Stood there and took the hits. So I said, kudos for the Texans for the win. As the Jags, I mean, I think they're better than the Falcons, but they're but in the same sense we were just talking about, you don't know what 1 week you're going to get from 1 week to the other out of the Jags. So it's just I don't have them making the playoffs, and what a disappointing loss for if you're a Jags fan. You're completely have them on the ropes, be 6-3, really still keeping the pressure on. Because I think, don't they still have 2 games or just 1 game against Indy left, Jacksonville?
I think they have one more.
One more?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean.
But still,
Jags have played themselves out of it. We're rolling into a game that was definitely a better game than, if you like comebacks, that was a good game for you. This was a good division rivalry shootout here. The Rams get the win in Santa Clara, 42-26 over the 49ers. This game, to start the fourth quarter, was a one-score game with the 49ers coming in close, scoring, getting it to 20, going for 2 and missing it. But 28-20, and then the Rams going on a late run there and winning the game 42. The Rams offense obviously looked about as hot as you can get. Matthew Stafford reverting back to old Stafford ways with 4 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 73 yards on the ground. Devontae Adams leading the team in receiving with 77 and a tutty, and Puka getting 64 and a tutty. And then Parkinson, the tight end, getting 41 and a tutty. So, I mean, just across the board, Rams look great. 49ers, can't take away from Mac Jones, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, interceptions, 0 sacks. Brian Robinson leading the team in rushing on 41 and a touchdown. And George Kittle coming back and kind of having his comeback game with 84 yards and a touchdown. So it was a great game to watch. I mean, it was multiple one-score games, and then the Rams just, at the end, just put the foot down, and Mac Jones throws that interception to kind of seal it almost. But it was impressive with the Rams. I think the Rams, if they beat the Seahawks this week, they're definitely, I think they walk away with the division. Because, I mean, it's between them right now because the Niners' defense is banged up, obviously. Believe it or not, even if you don't watch football, you should just assume the 49ers' defense is going to be banged up, especially if you look at the last couple years since their last Super Bowl appearance. But, I mean, Matthew Stafford's looked great. I'm interested to see how the 49ers look with Brock Purdy coming back this week, especially playing a division rival. But Rams get the win. Yeah. Which is the biggest stat.
Well, and just if you're a Rams fan, you know, you look at the first Thursday night game they played earlier this year where they gave up a late field goal and then they had a chance to win the game and fumbled the ball. They got the ball back. But a game that the Rams definitely felt that they should have won the first time around. So to get payback in San Francisco and put another game in between the two of them, and like you said, the level that Matthew Stafford's playing at, it's that balance. Being that good point guard between getting the tight end involved, getting Puka his catches to him, and reacclimated to the offense and back into a rhythm, and Devontae Adams, and like I said, and the Rams defense, which we don't really talk as much anymore, but it's just the Rams have a sneaky good defense as well. So it's like they're another balanced team, which is another reason why they're 7-2 as well. They're going to be a tough out. I mean, you're talking about their 2 losses were the Niners when they were still healthy on that game that the Rams should have won. And then another good positive point that you brought up was over the last couple of weeks is the Rams closing out games. Even on games that they won, they should have. Who was it? They beat the Colts, but the Colts had their chances. Of course, they lost against the Eagles, having a couple kids, like having a golden opportunity there to beat the Eagles when they were still undefeated. You're talking about like a couple plays from being undefeated,
very much
and no one really talks about them. I said, but that's going to be a tough out with Stafford and the balance they have, and Sean McVay and the defense the way that they're playing. Look out for the Rams. So I am super thrilled and super excited. We talked about earlier, about that's going to be you talk about, in my eyes, probably 2 of the top 4 hottest teams in the NFL. In the Rams Seahawks, that's going to be a fun one to watch. I can't wait to watch that one.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch that game.
Yeah, but I mean, so kudos to I think for the Niners. They showed some life late, but the Rams completely changed their offensive philosophy from the first game to the second game, and it paid off because before halftime it was 21-0, and then the Niners get a touchdown to make it 21-7 at the half. I said, but the Rams from the get-go I felt like had complete control of it, and they finished out a game, which they figured that out the way they did in the last couple of weeks. Like that was kind of one of their Achilles heels at the beginning of the year. Look out.
Very much so.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna jump into our picks for this week 11 of the NFL slate.
All right, so let's get into our picks for week 11. Start off, obviously, with Thursday Night Football. We have the Jets rolling out to the Pats. What's you guys' takes?
I mean, the Jets get a win last week.
Good for them.
Good for them. Pat them on the back, but rolling into Foxborough. Thursday Night Football, Patriots are one of the hottest teams in the league. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, and even with Josh Allen and the Bills running that division the last couple of years, like it's obviously, especially with Tom Brady, been the Patriots division. They've owned everybody in the AFC East. Short week, like Brady was going to have those guys. I feel like well prepared. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And like I said, they're playing their best football in the middle of that 7-game stretch. So they looked really great against Tampa Bay, and I think they take care of business. The Patriots take care of business as well.
So we got a Sunday morning game over in Spain.
Last one of the year.
Yeah, thank goodness, man. It's always great to have 4 games to watch on a Sunday, but that doesn't make for a long game. We have the Commanders playing the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, I mean, they're showing some life.
You got to win last week against a good or bad team, depending on how you look at it.
And is Daniels still out?
Yeah, Daniels will still be out. He's probably out for the year at this point, especially the way the Commanders season is looking. I still have the Commanders getting this. I think Marcus Mariota, the veteran quarterback, will help them going over to Spain. And I just don't trust the Dolphins at all across the board. But I like the commies getting it done with Marcus Mariota and Deebo Samuel and Bill McCroskey-Merritt and Zach Ertz.
Well, and even this final score is not going to show it, I said, but like Commanders keeping it somewhat close for a while with the Lions, and to me, I agree that they have the better roster and like the more like, I guess their bottom line is better for the Commanders, but I actually have the Dolphins just building off the momentum. Like I said, I don't love it, I don't trust it. I feel kind of like I'm out like naked going actually picking the Dolphins to win the game this year. But I said they have had they've had 2 or 3 games like the Bills and stuff where the first time where they've been close, and then they're 2 wins. So. They said Mariota has played pretty well, against Kansas City and against the Raiders and stuff. So he's had multiple starts and played pretty well in Daniel's absence. But I like the Dolphins being more desperate and pulling them off another upset.
Well, I would hope so. All right. Well, brings us to noon. All right. Hopefully, there's no surprises here, but we do have first noon game is the Bengals at the Steelers. Let's go with you, Twitch.
Another Booger Bowl.
The Booger Bowl, yeah, just you and your son.
I still got to pay up the other bet. I will pay it up. I am 4-5. Pittsburgh's 5-4, and I'm 4-5 in picking Steeler games. I'm actually picking my team this week.
I would hope so for crying out
Yeah,
loud.
I mean you got Cincinnati at home. That egg that they played last week, I hope it's like the Packers game, and then they come back and played really well against the Colts. Traditionally, we've had the Bengals number forever. So already losing that first game and losing at Cincinnati, like now you have them coming at home. Not a lot of gimme games left in Pittsburgh's schedule, to be honest with you. So, and with Baltimore clearly breathing down your neck, and the way that this whole thing, when Pittsburgh was 4-1 in the division lead, this whole kind of 3 out of 4 losses landslide started with the Bengals. Now you got them coming back and as much success as Flacco's had against us, we've had, his record's almost 500 against us, and I feel like our defense I feel like played for the most part till the end yesterday. Then I feel like they just weren't getting anything on offense, and they just kind of let some big plays happen. And I hate to say it, but the Chargers were the more physical team. But I think it's a close game. I think Flacco keeps them. But I feel like after what happened the last time, and the Bengals defense still not being very good, I'm going to pick my own team this week. I'm picking the Steelers to
About time.
beat the Bengals.
Yeah. Joe Burrow returned to practice today. Doesn't really have anything to do with the game, but he's expected to maybe come back earlier than expected if they need him to. Which at this rate, I don't think so. Especially after losing this game to the Steelers. I think the Steelers get it done. Obviously, if you go back and watch last night's game, the Sunday Night Football game, was not pretty whatsoever for the Steelers. I mean, the Boz, who seems untouchable, missed a couple kicks, or at least missed one kick, and then it's just an ugly game across the board. I think the Steelers get right against this team because, like Twitch said, they're very much not very many gimme games left in their schedule, and they obviously feel the pressure of Baltimore breathing down their neck right now. So I think the Steelers get this one done and then hopefully catch momentum and keep the Ravens off, but we'll see what happens.
I like how Chris Sims talks about that on his football podcast, but Steelers pulled the magic horseshoe out of their ass. So it's like, it's part of their magnetism towards 9-8.
Yeah,
so
they just want it.
These are the ones that they'll find a way to win. So
Well, I'm hoping the Chargers drop this one, but they go down and play the Jags. So
Yeah, I also hope the Chargers drop this one. That'd be nice. Give the Broncos a little bit more breathing room at the top. But I think the Chargers get this one done. I think the Jags, Ryan Robinson's questionable for this week. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back and plays or not. But just a team that looked really good there for a little bit and then lost all the wind out of their sails. And I think the Chargers team getting a good primetime win with who Chargers team's also been a team that's been kind of struggling and losing some games that you're like, oh, I didn't think the Chargers would lose that one. At least I was like that. I think the Chargers roll down the Duval and get the win. I think Harbaugh has the boys playing. Also, if you're not a big football, if you don't like watching the actual game of football, you should at least tune into Chargers games and watch Jim Harbaugh's expressions and everything he does. I had a kick of that last night. They'd show him all the time. He's a very passionate person, you can tell. He's a very big facial expression guy.
Yeah.
And, like, every time there was a penalty, his mouth would be open. He's like, what are we doing? Even though if it was egregious and you're like, yeah, it's a penalty, John. Like, what are we doing, buddy?
Right. No, I have the Chargers as well. I don't trust the Jaguars. I think they play better this week. But the Chargers, after starting off hot and then being so, being so back and forth, I feel like over the last 2 or 3 weeks, the Chargers have started playing really well again, and they're keeping that pressure on KC, and they're above KC obviously, and then Denver, and they just kind of get like the forgotten third when they're in second place in the division. So I feel like Herbert's really played lights out the last couple of weeks, and that Chargers defense has played really well. Jaguars offense struggling the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's a week-to-week league, but the only thing I can see is, like, a lot of times, again, we talk about it, but, like, those West Coast teams going for a noon kickoff games or 1 o'clock games sometimes struggle. So that gives me a reason to pause. Jacksonville, depending on which Jacksonville team shows up, can be a tough place to play, like when Kansas City lost to them. But
yeah, that Monday night game, that was upsetting for sure.
But I think the Chargers and Harbaugh find a way, make more plays than what Trevor Lawrence and the Jags do.
Okay. Buccaneers rolling out to Buffalo. That's going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the Buccaneers lose tough last week in a one-score game that wasn't necessarily a one-score game. But then the Bills also coming off a loss, a more embarrassing loss for sure, to a division team. So I have the Bucs getting this one. I think they'd bounce back in a big way. Bucky Irving's supposed to be back this week. I feel like I've said that the last couple weeks. He's been projected to come back, and he's had setbacks. So knock on wood, hopefully he gets back this week for Twitch's fantasy team as well.
Yeah, right.
But I like the Bucs getting this one done in Buffalo, even though because I think the Bills are broken.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Bucs will be right there at the end of the year. Playoff team. I like Baker Mayfield. I like the things that they're doing. But I think Buffalo and the performance they had last week, and I do think that they, like I said earlier, when they play their best, they're as good as anybody. And that embarrassment, that stench of last week, I feel like McDermott's a solid head coach, and so he'll have those guys prepared to play. And they realize that even with New England, they still get to play New England one more time. The Colts have the Chiefs next week, and there's still plenty of time left. So, especially getting that win against Kansas City, I feel like they realize what's in front of them. And so, I feel like, and you know what I mean? To give up, to have those kind of wins, and then just, I expect them to be fighting for that number one seed still and pushing the Patriots for the division and trying to keep pace, especially because Patriots play on Thursday. Yeah. And so we expect the Patriots to win handily. So I feel like that pressure. I feel like the Bills at home, Josh Allen, and as good as Baker Mayfield is, Allen's top 3, top 4 player in the NFL on his best days. So it's I feel like
reigning MVP.
He again makes just a couple more plays than what Baker, and Baker keeps it compared. Baker's good, but I feel like Allen just wills him to a win. I don't have another thing other than that.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger game for the Bills at this point for that number one seed for sure. Upset alert. Bears and Vikings.
Upset alert moves to 5-1 now. Nice little segment that we added later on in the year that's really been paying off. And I'm very happy my team is the one there that didn't hit in a crazy 33-point comeback.
Yeah.
But I have the Bears getting this one done. The Bears come back against obviously a bad Giants team. I mean, got the coach fired. That's how bad they are. But I think the Bears have looked good, and the Vikings. I mean, even though they did get up on the Ravens, J.J. McCarthy has yet to put together a full game. I mean, because we saw him when he won his first NFL game. It was another fourth quarter comeback. That last drive on Sunday Night Football was a huge drive to go down and win that one. So I got the Bears winning this one. Their defense has been good, and I think they can mess with J.J. McCarthy enough and make him uncomfortable enough to pull out the win here.
Yeah, I kept going back and forth on this one because of becoming more of a Caleb Williams believer. And how well Chicago winning 5 of 6. They've been the better team by wins and losses, I said. But then I looked at it, too. It's like, okay, you can't take anything away from Williams for performing in those moments, but it was comeback with victories against the Bengals and the Giants, and then like 3 quarters of pretty sloppy football yesterday. Whereas the Vikings, I feel like the thing with McCarthy yesterday and the Ravens playing a lot better on defense, so I don't know how much more to make it of that. Or McCarthy just throwing jump balls, moon balls that kept getting picked off yesterday. But they played Baltimore. They had their chance at the end of the game against a Baltimore team that needed to win. And then the week before that, like McCarthy going into Detroit and beating the Lions. And so with the Bears not having to play as much tough competition, so I can see this game. This is why I kept going back and forth. I think this will be a divisional game that goes back and forth. I won't be surprised whoever wins. But it's in Minnesota. Minnesota's a loud place to play. And I feel like this week Chicago keeps it close but doesn't find a way at the end. Or McCarthy makes a play at the end because that's, like you said, the 2 times we've seen, like, okay, McCarthy might be the answer or something, at least try. Like, it's been at the end of games, like, in those moments. So, it's like, I feel like the Vikings need to win more. They've obviously kind of had the Bears number as well. And it's it's year to year. But I like the Vikings. That's my upset pick of the week. I'm taking the Vikings over the Bears.
Well, we do have the Texans versus the Titans next. Are the Titans still on a bye?
They might as well just take the week off. I have the Texans obviously getting a huge win last week, comeback win over the Jags, kind of putting the Jags to bed, you could say. But I think the Texans get it done. I mean,
yeah, their defense. I think their defense is legit. They've won 3 out of 4, and I feel like the Texans get the win here. That simple. Whether that be Mills, who showed me last week, I kind of didn't believe it through the first half or whatever. I said, but played a lot better and really found a rhythm with those guys on top of that defense. And the Titans don't feel like have enough offense.
All right, well, next one, we got a couple more left here for the noon slot. We got the Panthers at the Falcons, little Dirty Birds game.
Yeah. Game I definitely went back and forth on. Just because the Falcons, who knows what the Falcons are going to get. And they're at home. They've been good at home. But they've also got 30-0'd when they were on the road.
To the same Panthers.
To the same Panthers team. I had the Panthers winning it for that. Panthers coming off a bye as well. I think it's going to help them. I mean, I've been a big Panthers guy all year. I've been impressed with how they've played. Rico Dondal's been a top 10 running back. He's inserted himself in that category. Rookie wide receiver McMillan's looked really great. Bryce Young's not making Bryce Young plays from last year. He's looking more like Alabama Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't have the same caliber. He's not throwing at Devontae Smith and John Mechie and countless other NFL wide receivers I could just name.
Yeah.
But I think the Panthers get it done. They beat them last time. I hope, for the sake of all Falcons fans, I hope it's closer and I hope it's not 30-0 and you're like, oh, what the hell. But it also, I could see this game either being a blowout or I think the Panthers squeak out a win. But it's the Falcons, man.
See, these are 2 teams you don't know what you're going to get week to week, especially the Falcons. But you have the Panthers. I said so. They actually played the Saints last week, so it's like the 1 week they lose at home, put up 7 points to the Saints, and yet before that they'd won 4 out of 5. And we were talking about just last week. It's is Carolina really a playoff team?
Yeah, you lose to the Saints. Saints second win.
Yeah, and then you said again we have the Falcons. We already know this story. Beat the Bills, and then get blanked. I have the Panthers as well, just because it'll be a lot closer. Like Atlanta plays better at home, divisional game. I think that game they had a couple turnovers early, and so then I feel like Michael Penix just allowed Carolina to pin their ears back. So I don't see it being the same type of game, but so I think they'll close the gap tremendously. But that just goes to show, in my opinion, like how much like I feel Carolina will be confident and rebound and get the win in Atlanta.
All right, last noon game. Got the Green Bay Packers rolling out to New York, playing the Giants.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how this one goes. We're recording this on Monday, and they're down 3-0 right now to the...
Yeah, pretty stale offense on both sides
Yeah.
of the ball between the
Yeah.
Packers and the Eagles.
I was kind of
Sunday night.
worried. My schedule's kind of crazy this week, so we're recording on Monday night while the game's going on. And I was kind of worried we were going to miss a recap of a really great game.
Yeah.
So unless something crazy happens in the next 4 minutes 42 seconds in the fourth quarter, then I'm not going to feel so bad. But going back to the game we were talking about here,
Maybe I should have started the Packers defense.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
Started the Broncos defense. Because that's every week you got to do that.
Right.
yeah. But I have the Packers getting this one. I had the Giants. I talked myself into the Giants earlier. And then when I said, hey, Russell Wilson started, and I said, oh, wait, I'm a Broncos fan. I remember what Russell Wilson started quarterback looks like. I'm good. Give me the Packers. Packers are still obviously this game's showing that the Packers are still the best, worst team in the league, in my opinion. They have a winning record. They're going to make the playoffs. But you're going to look back at some of those, like the Cardinals game, and you're going to be like, what is going on?
Well, we got a new Packers follower.
Yeah, new Packers follower.
So,
So go Pack, go.
Go
Give me the
Pack, go.
Packers over the Giants.
Yeah, I have the Packers as well, just for the fact of, I said right now it's 3-0, almost the end of the third quarter. So the Eagles are still one of the premier teams. Packers still have an elite defense, and like I said with Russell Wilson, I think that, and no head coach.
Yeah.
I think this will it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to polish up a turd. I mean, so like you said, Green Bay's been wildly inconsistent, but like you said, they were the ones that lost to the Panthers a couple weeks ago, right after getting the big win in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the week before.
So, but I like, with Dart, like assuming he's out and Russell Wilson, I said, I feel like it's the Packers. Packers are on a different level. Giants have struggled. Their defense has been one of the bottom tier defenses for most of the year. The Giants, that is, and so Jordan Love and those guys, I expect to make enough plays to beat the Giants.
Well, that takes us up to the 3:05 slot. I got a bunch of stuff I need to get done on Sunday, so if I can get all my stuff done by 3 o'clock on Sunday, I'll be happy. Box, you coming out here for the games?
More than likely.
Okay, so
Make an appearance.
at 3 o'clock, we got some great games. So first one, the 3:05 game, we have the Seattle Seahawks.
Our one of two game of the week.
Yeah, our
'Cause it's
co-game of the week.
Our co-game of the week, because we can do that because this is.
Ain't nobody on us. We do
This
what
is
we
your
want.
Yeah,
old Heights.
yeah. I just wanted to point that out, one of our games of the week, because we couldn't decide between the two, but go ahead.
Yeah, Seahawks, the Rams. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I think this decides the NFC West. I think this game, obviously, there's a lot of football still to play. It's only week 11.
Yeah.
But I think this game will set. They obviously have to play again too, so there could be a tiebreaker in there. But I think this game will dampen the momentum of one team and heighten the other one. So I have the Rams winning this one. It's not the Coliseum anymore. They're at SoFi. Let's
Yeah.
call it the Coliseum just out up here.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they go back there and play one game there. Anyways, I think the Rams get it done. Obviously, we talked about Seattle being one of the best all-around teams so
Yeah.
far this year, but I have faith in the Rams. Matt Stafford last week, if you go back and watch some of his highlights, he looked like old Matt Stafford. I mean, running bootlegs and
Yeah.
escaping the pocket when he absolutely needed to,
Yeah.
and just looked great. And I think that young defense will be able to hang with the Seattle Seahawks
Yeah.
because obviously one weak point of the Seahawks has been the rush game this year, and that's Sam Darnold. If you can get some pressure on him, he's always. I'm not saying he's the seeing ghost guy. If you remember way back when he played for the Jets
Yeah.
still. But I think it's going to be a good game off the shootout. I won't be watching this game because obviously my team's playing in the 3 o'clock window as well. But I'm excited to see the results of the score, and I think it could be either a shootout or it could be a really close divisional game either way.
I think that one definitely helps that that's Rams game at home.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what gives them that edge.
If it's in Seattle, I'd probably ride with Seattle because, we talked about it a little bit last week, but the Seattle almost has the 12th man back. It's an exciting time to be a Seattle Seahawks football fan again.
Absolutely.
Right. Second, this was another one I kept going back and forth just because I'm not going to be surprised because of the things you just mentioned of it being at a Rams home game and Matthew Stafford and like the level he's playing at. And like even last week, yesterday with the 35-0 lead on the Cardinals, like saw Darnold a couple times get sloppy with the ball. I mean, he's done a good job taking care of the ball the last couple of years, but like still has moments of that. Like I know it's not just that it happens; it seems like it happens every week for a game or two. So, and even their losses, like that's how they lost. And to the Bucks and to the Niners at the beginning of the year for the Seahawks. Otherwise, they could be 9-0, but making that crucial late game interception. So like I trust Stafford more than Darnold, but Darnold's played lights out. But like I'm all over Seattle's bandwagon over the last month or so. So I thought they'd be a playoff team. I'm going to say Seattle just so we have something different. Like I said, that to me, like I said, that's probably the best game of the week. You got 7-2 versus 8-2, and like the thing about Seattle is just like I said, where they have the names and the offense and the last couple of year history of like the Detroit Lions and their offense. But when you look at like in my opinion, like most complete, even the Eagles have struggled. Packers defense is great. At times the offense looks great. To me, Seattle's been the most consistent, like even over the Colts and their defense. Like it's been spotty. To me, the most balanced, consistent team on both sides of the ball might be Seattle, who has a top 3 defense. You and I were talking about before the podcast. It's 35-0 with like 4 minutes to go in the first half. And the Cardinals have Jacoby Brissett, who's 240-some pounds, on a 4th and inches on the 1.5. And 2 guys from Seattle just blow the guys back, stop the guy enough, and then 4 other separate Seahawks just smear him back for a 2-yard loss. It's like they are flying around the ball. I said yesterday was a perfect example. And again, I get those against the Cardinals, but to have the hybrid athletic, almost reminiscent of, I'm not saying they're on that level. They don't have those kind of pieces or names yet, but a lot of young people, hungry players, and the hybrid linebackers and secondary of Seattle, like on defense, those guys that can pick it, they can hit you, but they're like slimmer, I guess. Yeah. Fast, speed. They scored 2 touchdowns on defense, and then on offense, it's like you still have Kenneth Walker, which I think when they're healthy and when they give him the ball, is a top 10 running back. And then on top of that, you said you have Darnold, who is playing lights out on top of Nelson Ajigba. Like we're talking about him, like I think it was before the end of the first quarter yesterday is over 1,000 yards for the season already.
He's the first receiver to hit 1,000. So
with what 1 quarter into your 9th game of the year, which is insane. But it's like he had 4 or 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Like you said, the defense had 4 sacks and 2 takeaways and stuff with 12 minutes to go in the second quarter left. I mean, we're talking about full game statistics in the half. Like that just shows how balanced and how like and Cooper Kupp making a couple big plays coming back yesterday. And we're only getting to see it, but Snead, the guy that they just traded for, made a couple big plays and also freed up Nelson Najigba a couple times. That's only going to get more comfortable too. So it's like,
very much so.
So that's why I feel like Seattle is just a scary team because they have a legitimate team that brings a pass rush as good as anybody, literally top 3 in the NFL, getting 4 or 5 sacks and getting turnovers. And if Sam Darnold doesn't do the same, doesn't turn it over, they have guys that can move the sticks. They have Nelson Ajigba, who's, like you said, he may not have the size, but he can make every route, he can make every play, he can take the deep ball, he can burn you, he can get open in the middle. Like you have a true number 1 receiver in Nelson Ajigba. Like I don't know. So again, I say all that because I'm just like I'm not going to be surprised if the Rams win because of Adams and Puka and Stafford. I trust more than Darnold. But being all over Seattle and the fact that it's in LA makes me a little nervous. So to me, this is like literally a pick'em game.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pick Seattle just because I've been all over their bandwagon the last month, and that'd be kind of hypocritical of me. And if they find a way.
So we got a handful of games you guys split up on already. This one, not so much. 49ers at Arizona playing the Cards.
49ers, Brock Purdy coming back. I'm interested to see how well he plays, but Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett is a good backup. I mean,
he's played well.
He's kept them in. They've been competitive in almost every game that he's been played in. I mean, obviously last week 2 defensive touchdowns. That happens.
Yeah,
especially in the division. But give me the 49ers. I think Brock Purdy comes out.
They should have beat the Packers.
Yeah,
the Cardinals.
The Cardinals should have. Yeah. Again, that's why the Packers are the best worst team in the league.
Yeah.
But anyways, give me the 49ers all day. Cardinals are Cardinals.
Same. Yeah. I feel like Purdy comes back and they have him being efficient. He'll probably finish somewhere like 20-27 for $182 and 2 touchdowns, like something like that. They'll run the football, don't turn the ball over. Arizona doesn't have the offensive firepower, so like Kyle Shanahan's going to know, like, we don't turn the ball over, we don't beat ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to win this game.
Feed the ball to CMC, man.
100%.
That's my other.
That's your other friend?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
let's get away from CMC. Let's have him sling the rock 50 times.
No. Let me get 70 points out of my running backs and fantasy
Beat Brian
football.
Robinson.
Right. Yeah, I got the Niners for sure.
So a couple 325 games that I'm super excited about. I mean, this one here, Cleveland going out there to Baltimore and playing the Ravens. I'd love to see an upset here. I don't think it's happening, but what you guys take on the Browns and the Ravens game?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's happening either. It'd be awesome if the Browns could. That defense could, for sure. But division game, the Ravens know that they need to win out. Not win out, but they need to win a lot of their last couple games here, especially against a division rival, especially with the Steelers slipping up the way they did. And they'll know the results of the Steelers game rolling into this game, or they'll at least have an idea of how it happens. So I think the Ravens get it done. Myles Garrett probably has himself another day. Why not?
Defensive player of the year was Twitch's pick.
Yeah.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
a team that's in the dumpster, man. But,
yeah.
The Ravens.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. Everybody thought I just want to point that out too. Everybody thought I was crazy after Week 6 being 1-5 at the Ravens, and said now tomorrow's Veterans Day and they're a game back. And the thing is like I said, they get some of those defensive pieces back. They gave up a garbage time touchdown. They hold Minnesota the last drive of the game. I said, but for the most part, they only allowed 13 points. And to me, I kept flipping back and forth between that and the Tampa Bay. I watched some of the Houston. I flipped back and forth.
Yeah.
And the Chicago ending. But the two games I kept flipping back and forth by far the most was I was watching mainly this one, the Vikings, Ravens, and then the Patriots, Bucks. But to me, like on the one hand, like for the Ravens, like it was really spotty. Like they did not look very good the first half. They were down by a point going into the half, and even the second half, like it just didn't seem like when Lamar Jackson was in the pocket, like he looked comfortable, but still getting used to that. But that's what I'm saying. They're not. There was a couple times where they had 3rd and goal and they literally had Derrick Henry and their 300-pound, fullback and everybody in front of it, and it was just like, we're just going to beat you the outside, but like it's that simple. Like we're bigger than you, we're bigger. Like we it doesn't matter that you know where the ball's going. Like Baltimore got that physicality back a little bit, and like I said, last week only granted it's the freaking Dolphins, but they gave up 6 points. In my opinion, like I said, they gave up 20. I said, but for the most part, they gave up 13 at garbage time. Week before that, they gave up 13 to Chicago and Caleb Williams, who's played pretty good this year. Like Baltimore's played a lot better defense, and they're only gonna go up for here on offense. And like I said, with Baltimore's next couple games, they've got Cleveland, Cincinnati, the Jets, Cincinnati, and then us in Baltimore. So I'm just saying, like by that point. That's what I'm saying. That is a cake schedule, and Baltimore is and that's the thing I feel like plays in their hands even better is that because they started out 1-5, people just don't take them as seriously. Like, oh, they're not as good as what they used to be, and like you still have to plan, take Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like I said, a couple of those losses were either to the Chiefs or the Lions, and they'd have a bad day, and without Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is definitely
perennial. Say what you will about him, but perennial. All-Pro MVP type caliber quarterback.
2-time MVP winner.
Yeah. So, I said I'm not a Ravens fan. I don't get like this bandwagon Ravens fan. Like I said, like I don't like it, but I also just like it pisses me off. But at the same time, like no, I can see it already. It's like because it just plays into their hand as where they're kind of the underdog and they're another one like Buffalo where it's like on their best game they can beat anybody. Like you still have. You have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Enough said. We saw what that was last year, and I don't know. Like I said, anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on Cleveland. They're trying to figure out a quarterback situation still, and the game is at Baltimore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even going to be fucking close. Not even close. Baltimore in a landslide.
Well, everybody here at the Backstage Pass is going to be watching this next one because it's the Chiefs at Denver. Huge implications about where that AFC West is. You know, if we go back to July when we first started this podcast, I think Box had The Broncos, number 2 seed in the AFC. Had the
14-3.
Chiefs, had the Chiefs coming in on a wild card. Twitch is on the other side of that, thinking that the Chiefs would win the AFC West. But this is where it all. This is the turning point here. I mean, I feel like if the Chiefs get this game, that keeps them in the conversation, and if they lose it, it definitely puts Box in the driver's seat. That Kansas City's going to be that team that has to go on the road in the playoffs. So we'll start with you, Box. I know you got to be excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is
We should do chili dogs or something fun for that game. By the way, I don't know.
very much so. To start this off, me and LSV are gonna have a bet on this game that we will perform the outcome at the Christmas Day game. We have some
Oh, I
crazy.
forgot about that.
We have some crazy bets up there. We're gonna put up a poll at some point and see what the fans think, and we're gonna have internal conversations here for Twitch and Box Sports Talk.
So
Trailer-
the loser's going to have to do something
Yeah.
at the Chiefs Broncos game at
Trailer-
Arrowhead
on Christmas
Day.
Trailer Swift had some crazy suggestions.
Oh, I got a good one.
Me and LSV had some crazy
You
suggestions.
should have to wear underwear of the opposing team and just run down the parking lot like one whole
Yeah,
section.
we
like,
talked about having to hold a
Guess what?
snake.
It's December.
I mean,
it's Christmas Day. It's gonna be cold as hell.
we
Like,
did some, and we talked about some crazy. We talked. Trailer Swift wanted us to do body shots. Don't know what that was about. She wanted us to hold it. I mean, we talked about holding snakes. We both hate snakes, so we'll figure something out. We'll definitely look.
What the hell are you gonna do with the game with a snake for the other 4 hours? Throw it in the back of the truck?
I don't know where we find a snake at, but that was the whole
crazy one that came up,
is that the other one has to hold a snake and wrap it around its neck.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, where do we get a snake? And then she was like, well, you guys could have to do body shots off of one another. I'm like, that sounds just
Yeah,
Nobody wins.
I think exactly.
Yeah,
Nobody
so
wins.
but I don't know, man.
Yeah, because
This-
the other person has to take their shirt off, and then you're getting a shotgun off of you by another dude. I mean, I think I'm good on that one.
yeah, so I don't know.
I feel like you should have to wear the other teams like boxers and have to sprint down because it's Christmas Day, so it's gonna be cold as hell.
Well, we talked about the other jerseys. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
swapping
I was
jerseys.
like, okay, so Box has to wear a Chiefs jersey at Arrowhead with all of my Arrowhead friends. He's going to fit right in. But if I have to wear a Broncos jersey with all of my Chiefs friends, hell no, that is not equal
I,
play.
Mark-
I offered.
Yeah,
I offered
Mark's
to
gonna
wear
kick
a
the shit out
Raiders
of me.
jersey.
So
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know.
I mean, that'd be crazy. Wearing I mean, there's
Or it was eating something disgusting.
Right?
Yeah, but then LSV started gagging himself out thinking
Yeah.
about it. So we had to change that subject.
All right, so back to this.
Back to the actual
Yeah.
picks here.
Kansas City at Denver. Huge game.
Yeah, huge game. Obviously, even after a tough win on Thursday Night Football over a division game, still got the win. I have Denver beating Kansas City. I think Kansas City coming off the bye will definitely be. It's going to be a tough game for us, but I think our defense continues to get better. We beat them last year at the end of the year, which obviously the starters didn't play. But the game before, we lost on a blocked field goal when we played them last year at blocked field goal there, and then we beat them at the end of the year last year.
Was that the day after Thanksgiving? Or no?
I think the week after Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's when I just got my Bo Nix jersey.
Yeah.
First time I wore it. I lost. Haven't worn it since.
Right.
Been wearing other jerseys, but
Yeah.
I think Denver gets it done. I think our defense keeps us in the game. Our offense just needs to click. I'll definitely be on the lookout for state of the Broncos, Chiefs, and Steelers. Definitely be giving my very very critical take of our offense from this last week. I don't necessarily what's going on, but I have faith in our defense to keep us in the game enough. And Bo Nix has shown that in clutch time situations to go down, kick a field goal to win it or get down in scoring position. He's proved that he can do it in clutch situations. And I think our defense is good enough to keep us in that situation. I feel like this is going to be a back and forth game all day. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to keep his team in a game, and I mean the Chiefs know what's on the line. They're back. They're in third place right now, like we talked about, and nobody's really talking about the Chargers because everybody's thinking Kansas City. But if Kansas City loses this one, then I think it's almost panic mode for Kansas City because then you're back 3 games to the guys up top. Plus, you got to even worry about catching the Chargers because they have to play the Chargers again still. And so I'm very excited for this game, obviously. It's going to be out here at LSV watching it,
Yeah.
wearing my Broncos gear,
You'll be
talking.
watching it from outside.
Yeah. I'll be watching from the hot tub, but be talking mad shit across the board. Very excited for this game. I'm happy.
How many points do you think the Broncos put up in that game?
This game, I think if I'll put up my score prediction. I think it's going to be a 34-32 shootout.
Wow.
And
Ooh,
I think
okay.
how it's going to happen is Kansas City is going to go down and try to tie it, and Broncos defense and that goal line situation is going to come in clutch and stop the 2-point, and then going to celebrate, and then that's going to make the Christmas day even better.
Yeah, I'm going to go 24-17 Chiefs over the Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm going Chiefs. 24. I mean, it's Denver's got them definitely on the ropes. It's where it's like, I feel like on paper they still have more talent, but they have Mahomes.
They have the goat,
But-
baby goat.
But I mean, Denver's obviously shown like I said they're very balanced and well coached, and said that this is a prime opportunity. Like they're going to be up for it. I fully expect them to play a lot better than they did, and a lot more consistent on offense than they were against the Raiders. So I said, what an opportunity, obviously, for Denver to be like, oh, we're Casey's little brother, and now you have a chance to, like, for lack of a better term, like fight him in your backyard. So I expect it to be a physical game, but I like the Chiefs coming off a bye, and to
They're
kind
like
of
21-2 or something. What was that?
Yeah, Andy Reid has a crazy stat off the bye.
21-2 on top of just the fact of it that they tried to make a late comeback against the Bills. I said, but like losing that game, they've had a couple weeks to like look at the film. Up until that point, like Kansas City had been playing lights out for the month prior to that, and they know that if they lose this game, they're not stupid either. Mahomes listens to all that. Whereas it's all but pretty much done if Denver wins. Whereas I feel like Kansas City's like we've been inconsistent all year, and Denver's the up and coming team, but we're still the Chiefs, and I like Patrick Mahomes to get it done, just because there hasn't been closest thing by far has been Tom Brady. That's the only comparable as far as like must win games. Like I said, we always talk about it, but Mahomes being like Jordan-esque, and like not only do you win more often than you lose, I say it's pretty dominant. Like very rarely do you lose those games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I like Mahomes. I think Denver plays a lot better on offense this week than last week, but Denver's got a legitimate defense. I go 24-21 Kansas City in a close game.
Eagles just scored. Up 9-0 now. Going to go for the point here.
Yeah. Well, at least we'll have another good Sunday night football game. I mean, we're going to send Big Willie home with some snacks and stuff after Kansas City beats Denver after the afternoon game. But we got the Lions at the Eagles for Sunday night football. I'm glad that we're seeing another good Sunday night football
excited
game.
for another good, NFC matchup for sure. The Eagles obviously have looked lackluster until this last 40-something yard touchdown to Devontae Smith there. But I have the Lions getting this one done. I think it's at Philly, which will be, Philly night games are always wild.
Right.
But I think that's what Dan Kimball has built this team for, is crazy away night games and saying, hey, we're going to go in there, we're going to bite some kneecaps. That's his quote exactly when he first got the job. He said, we're going to go eat some kneecaps, and we're going to take a kneecap on the way up. But I like the Lions in this one. That run game, Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, last week going over a buck again and a touchdown. And the Eagles' defense being hit or miss with the rush defense. And we talked about it last week or the week before, that the Lions run off of Gibbs and Montgomery. If Gibbs and Montgomery can get going, then the rest of the offense can fly.
Yeah.
And I think they can get it going against the Eagles. The Eagles are still a good team, but I think the Lions get this one, and then I feel like this will be an exciting playoff matchup at some point. We look down the road.
Could be an
for the
NFC
playoffs.
championship.
Could be an NFC championship for sure, because you don't have a crazy team like the Commanders who are going to sneak in, and because the Commanders are out of it at this point.
Right.
But I like the Lions in this one.
Yeah, the other two would be like the Rams or some variation of the Rams or
Yeah,
Seahawks.
like the Seahawks maybe.
Right. I hope the Lions win, and I said, like you said, I don't think the stage will be too big. Detroit's got good balance. They get a good pass rush. They have the offense to compete with anybody. And we saw earlier this year when Baltimore, beginning of the year, when Baltimore needed to win, they didn't have the record they do now, or started off. You know what I mean? It was a primetime Monday night game, and Detroit was by far the most physical team, even in Baltimore. And so even though they didn't play a great second half against Kansas City, like you said, it doesn't seem like those games are too big for Detroit. I like their offense more than the consistency, obviously, than what we've seen like out of Philly, as they haven't been as consistent. But I feel like Philadelphia is the more physical team, and Philadelphia is just such a tough place to play. And they are the defending Super Bowl champs, and everyone's putting, rightfully so, because the Eagles, we're just going off what we see. We know the Eagles are legit, but they haven't looked like, as in my eyes, they haven't had that game like, they haven't had that one game. I said they look good against the Bucs, and they look good in parts against the Chiefs, but they haven't had that game like the Lions or the Seahawks and stuff where you're just like, oh, wow, that's definitely That being said, that's why I think that they'll get this win. Everyone's kind of sleeping on the Eagles. It's the primetime game, right? Sunday night.
Yeah.
So I think that they're a more physical team, and that's tough to say because I said what Dan Campbell brings to the physicality with Detroit. I said, but I don't know. I just feel like guys that have been there and done it before, more than Detroit, who's always been kind of on that, trying to get over the hump.
Yeah.
And I feel like Philadelphia squeaks out a win. But that's a great game. We have that game, the Kansas City game, the Rams Seahawks game. So there's some excellent games this weekend.
So if you have anything to do, get it done. If you have to miss any football, which I hope you don't have to, hope you get to watch all these games. But if you have to miss any football, definitely miss the noon slate because 3 o'clock to
I've already got Monday off, by the way.
between the 3 o'clock and the late game, you're going to have some good football. You're not going to want to be missing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got Monday off, and then when I get done with all my stuff, I'll come back here and get a few things done. Then we got the Cowboys versus the Raiders.
Barn burner.
In Vegas, baby.
I think the Cowboys are going to put up some points.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Cowboys get it done.
Do you think they put up 50?
No.
Maybe not 50, but 40, 30.
30.
Yeah. I mean, Max Crosby is still in it. I mean, we saw it last week in the Broncos game. Max Crosby is still a force to be reckoned with. I think he recorded 1 sack. I mean, so many QB pressures. The guy's a menace across the board.
We should watch this at the Cannon compound.
Yeah, live reaction from a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
And then be on the lookout.
You know what makes him twitch?
Yeah, you want to be on the lookout for Twitch and Box live tweets during that game, and I will definitely drop some Raiders fans quotes out there. But I like the Cowboys getting it done. The offense has been really good, obviously. The defense traded for 2, pieces that could help. Traded for an interior defensive lineman and Quinnen Williams, and then Logan Wilson at the linebacker position will be interesting. I don't think that's going to turn out to be anything special whatsoever.
No.
Guy kind of on downhill slide of his career. But I still think the Cowboys get it done over a not very good Raiders team.
What? Were you thinking of a Dallas Cowboy joke?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to put this one on the podcast, but I'll tell you when we pause it.
Yeah, do not put that on the podcast.
Right.
We will get canceled. We talked about it yesterday.
I have the Cowboys winning as well. I think Vegas plays better. 2-7, a bit disappointing under Pete Carroll, but no quarterback play. Geno Smith not really playing that great. And
Start Pickett.
Right? And then that loss, I said their offense looked absolutely terrible last week against the Broncos, but the Broncos have a good defense. Cowboys do not have a good defense. I look at this game. I look at this one being like a 24-27. I don't feel the Cowboys' offense is legitimate, but they've been kind of streaky, and I don't think like that. The Raiders put up a lot of offense, so I don't feel like they're going to be like the most aggressive Dallas either. Yeah. So I think it's going to be like a 27-13, and Dallas takes care of business to kind of stick around that 500 spot.
It's going to be a great week. I'm excited about this weekend's football. I mean, bye weeks we have the Colts, Saints, and the Titans. I mean, they're playing. They're still on a bye.
Yeah, Colts definitely get a huge bye. See if they're going to be hot. They play coming off the bye. They play the Chiefs, so it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow or happens Saturday or Sunday. Will definitely decide what you think that's going to happen in that Colts game as well.
Right.
Because even if the Chiefs, hypothetically not going to happen, but if they beat the Broncos, their next game is against arguably the hottest team in the league in the Colts.
Yeah.
At least the hottest offense in the league. So I mean, it's interesting to see how this will happen. But appreciate LSV for having us out this week.
Always.
Appreciate Twitch for coming out, always having some good takes. Be on the lookout for State of the Teams, dropping a little bit before this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe both on YouTube and X. We put out some X polls this week. We'd appreciate more than 4 votes. All you got to do is really click the button.
And some suggestions if the
Punishment.
task,
the punishment across
for
the board.
Chiefs and Broncos is big. So I'd love to hear what other people have to say.
Yeah.
It would be a great punishment because I wasn't thrilled with any of the things that came up in there.
Nope, not at all,
I
actually.
mean, we went from tattoos to holding a snake to eating something crazy to body shots.
Tattoo would be great.
Yeah.
For one game, it's like it's not even for like
Yeah, not even for the
divisional,
division
just
or
like-
anything.
This is just it got out of hand yesterday. But all right, so yeah, well, we'll see y'all next week, man. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Give us your comments, feedback, whatever suggestions, and we'll see you week 12.
Yeah, appreciate it.